I used to think that being tough was just sleeping wherever I landed at the end of the day and dealing with it the next morning. Honestly, I just thought that bad sleep was part of moto camping. And what I learned the hard way is that being tired also makes you sloppy, and it makes you impatient. And it makes day 2 way harder than it needs to be. This is not the lightest or the most expensive moto camping setup that you can find. But it's the camp setup that allows me to wake up on day 2 and look forward to riding. In this video, I want to walk you through my current moto camping setup, like the important items that I take with me and some of the items that over time I've chosen to leave behind. I also want to tell you about a few comfort decisions that completely changed how far and how often I can ride. When preparing for any motorcycle camping trip, you need to start by asking yourself one simple question. Am I riding to camp or am I camping to ride? Because those are two very different philosophies and they're gonna mean that you pack different things. So if you're one of those people that you're going out for the adventure of riding and you're gonna tackle some maybe intermediate to advanced adventure trails along the way, you're probably gonna wanna try to find some balance between weight and comfort. However, if you're one of those riders who really is just there for the experience to camp with your buddies and travel to new places, you're gonna probably care less about the weight, and it may allow you to bring a few more comfort items along the road so you can enjoy your camp more. So this video is really gonna be for the type of camping I do when I go on like a weekend BDRX or maybe a multi-day camping trip where I'm sleeping every night off of my bike, but I'm also not shying away from some of the more difficult riding that I may encounter. The first thing that I want to point out, and it might actually be the most obvious to you, is that sleep is really important when you're riding on the trails. Whenever you are not thinking straight because you're exhausted or you didn't get a good night's sleep, you're more likely to take risks that'll get you hurt or in situations that you need help. So sleep is very important to what we do, and it allows us to recover from the riding that we do. With that being said, the first thing I want to talk about is our sleep system. A couple years ago, my dad and I set out to tackle the Trans-America Trail. I learned a ton of valuable insight to camping when I was on this trip. It's one of the reasons why I chose to pick a freestanding tent like this Big Agnes copper spur tent. And it's a little bit bigger than what I would, if I were to buy another one today, I would probably go with a 2-person. This is a 3-person, and I chose a 3-person tent because I'm a bigger guy, but also because when you're out on the trail, weather is super unpredictable, and I want to be able to take all of my gear and get it under roof, in essence. There's nothing worse than waking up the next morning with wet boots or, just your helmet's covered, and I like to bring all those things into the tent, so I chose a larger tent because it allowed me to keep my gear dry in unpredictable weather conditions. But whatever you choose, if it's a hammock or maybe even just like a cheap tent that you grab at like Walmart or something, they work. It's just about how far will it break down and how well will it fit and transport on your bike. This one transports really well in my Moscow bags. It fits right into the bottom of one of the bags and it works out really well. It stays dry in there. And it just turned out to be a great purchase for me. It's also a freestanding tent, which means I can set it up anywhere. It's a downside to having a hammock is you have to camp somewhere where you have trees. And some campgrounds don't even allow you to use hammocks. So the second item that I feel in my sleep system is extremely important is your sleeping pad. And for obvious reasons, like I said before, the weather is unpredictable. And so some nights when you're out riding get cold. And this Big Agnes Q-Core Deluxe, I'm staying a pretty consistent temperature with this nice high R rated pad. These are a little more expensive, but for me, they're worth the money. Like if you're gonna drop money on something, I would say spend the money on these items, right? A very good pad and a high quality down-filled bag make all the world of difference when you're sleeping on the road. I noticed that with these setups, I could sleep a solid 7 hours without feeling like pressure on my hips and my lower back and things like that, which allowed me to recover for the next morning. I didn't have to get up 3 or 4 times in the night and roll over because I was hurting. Granted, they are oversized items. And that's because, like I said, I'm a bigger guy. And so I have the room. I ride a big adventure bike, a Pan America, so I have the ability to carry the extra weight. And so that's what I do. It matters to me because the sleep is one of the most important things that I get, especially when I'm traveling for 14, 20 days on the road. These are the things that you need to look at spending money on. Quality pad, quality bag, and if you can afford it, a freestanding tent just allows you a ton of flexibility. The comfort item in the sleep system that I will never leave home without. This is the Nemo Pillow. It is the best pillow, in my opinion, that you can buy. This is the comfort item that I would suggest that you don't leave home without. Find yourself a comfortable camping pillow that you can rest with. Now, if you're like me and I like lots of pillows, I always bring this little Sea to Summit Aeros pillow. It's got an air bladder inside of it. I found that it's a little more firm and it's a much smaller pillow, but I bring both because I have room for them and it works out really well for me. And then the other thing that I always bring is a footprint for my tent. If you've ever camped in inclement weather off of a bike, what you'll find is most of the time there's not a great way to get out of the weather, of the elements. So like if you're in a downpour, you're just in a downpour. It's what it is. And when water gets under your tent, I don't care how waterproof your tent is, there's always a little bit of water that gets in. So a footprint helps a lot too to keep your gear clean when you repack. The sleep system matters because you're gonna constantly be putting yourself in a position that you need to recover. So for what that's worth, this is my setup for that. The next part of the camp setup that really matters to me is the comfort that I have when I'm at camp. You know, after you ride all day long and you get back to camp, you're kind of looking forward to sitting somewhere. And if you're not camping at a campground that has picnic tables, that could be a challenge. You don't have to spend a ton of money to get a good chair. Tusk makes a really nice Moto camping chair. I don't know what they cost now. I think I gave for this maybe like 60 bucks for it back when I bought it. And it's also rated for a little heavier guys. Always bring paracord to be able to hang up gear if it gets wet. This is something that is a necessity in every trip that I go on. It's very small and easy to pack. And then another item that I found is really helpful is a table, some type of a camp table. It's the first thing that I pull out and set up. And then it allows me to set things on it as I'm unpacking my bike. And that allows me to keep things off the ground and they're not getting dirty, especially if it's rained or it's been wet. So actually, what's funny is I normally take 2 tables when I camp. I take the Nemo Moonlander table, and then I also have a smaller GSI outdoor table that packs up into my pannier. It's really small. This one sits a little bit lower to the ground, but it's great for, just like I said, having an extra space to keep things out of the dirt. I think the first trip I went on, I had really great ideas about how I was gonna cook all this great food and grill steaks every night and just make amazing camp food. And what I found was that's really more of a ride to camp kind of setup, and that's just not who I am. I'm really more of a camp to ride. I want to experience the adventure of riding more than I do spending 3 or 4 hours at camp cooking before dark. So what I replaced that with is this jet boil. This one actually has that coffee press in it as well. You can make coffee with it, and it's been great, man. I mean, this fits in the pannier so well. And if I bring a couple, like if I'm gonna be on 3 days, like a BDRX or something, I just throw a couple like Mountain House meals, or there's a couple other brands out there that I would recommend, freeze-dried food. And then you just add some water and cook it, and you can cook it in just 3 to 4 minutes. This jet boil, have your stuff ready to go. Some of you will probably call this a necessity. It's not a comfort item, but for me, it's a good quality water bladder just to have fresh water at camp, no matter where I'm going, especially dispersed camping. I want to be able to pack in 2 to 5 liters of water, and that'll allow me to cook my food and clean up if I need to. It gives me drinking water and things like that as well. If you don't have this next piece in your kit, you need to stop what you're doing and go get it now. A first aid kit. It doesn't have to be this size, whatever you can fit on your gear, but you need to have something on your bike in case you get hurt. Let me give you a quick breakdown of what I put in this. It's kind of a big, bulky setup, but when I go on trips with guys, I'm normally a guy that brings the med kit. So I keep like gauze pads, I keep athletic tape, scissors, alcohol pads, Band-Aids, ibuprofen, Neosporin, burn cream. I also like to bring a tourniquet and a quick clot. If you're gonna need first aid, you're gonna need those items. So if you haven't, build you a first aid kit. You'll thank me later, and you're welcome. All right, so let's talk about a few things that didn't make the cut over time, or they earned their place in the garage, you'll say. The first thing is a shovel. The other thing that I have chosen to remove is a water purification. And that's just because I've never really needed it. This is also another item that I had the best intentions when I put it in. It just didn't make the cut over time. Because I lowered my kitchen, my GSI Outdoor Kitchen bag that has all of my utensils and spatulas and seasonings and stuff, this also stays in the garage. And an axe. What am I really gonna use this for? The other thing that I had the best intentions with was the big knife. Like everybody that camps wants to bring a big knife, right? But what I found was a pocket knife does just as good, and it takes up a quarter of the space. So if you're thinking about bringing a big, huge knife, maybe reconsider it on your next trip. Okay, the next 4 items I want to show you are some of my cheat code items. These are definitely comfort things, but you may find that some of them are also a necessity. I mean, if you're not doing a campfire at the end of the day, are you even camping? I love to set up a campfire, and I've noticed a couple of these things right here will help you get one started, and they are so easy and cheap, and so this is definitely a cheat code. If you haven't done it, go out, check them out. Fire starters are a must. The other thing, this is a really cool piece of kit that I picked up before my Trans-America Trail trip. This is a Sea to Summit Airlight Towel. They're super compact, as you can tell. It's smaller than my hand, but this thing, you can take a bath or a shower, and you can dry your whole body off with this thing, and it'll dry in a matter of hours. It's a wonderful piece of kit. This is a comfort item, and it's also, like I said, a cheat code for you. The next item is, this one may be one that you think, if you're gonna have all the sleep system, is a necessity, and that's a FlexTail pump. I use the brand FlexTail Tiny Pump, but it allows you to air up your sleeping pad with very little effort. And it also serves as a power bank and a light, which mine, of course, is not charged right now, but it serves as a light that you can hang in your tent. And the last of the 4 items is, yeah, you guessed it, it would be a trail saw, a hand saw that you can throw in your pannier. I always take one of these, and it's not for the reasons you might think. Some people think it's a camping piece, but for me it's a riding piece, because we do get into some trails that can have trees down or limbs in the way, and I find that it's way easier to pull this thing out and saw through a limb and drag it out of the way sometimes than it is to try to get that big Pan America up and over. Or sometimes limbs and stuff fall in a way that it just simply, I can't go over it. Maybe they won't be on the ground, they're in the air. And if you ever tried to lay a 650-pound bike down and drag it under a tree, it's not anywhere near as fun as dragging a dirt bike. So the saw comes in super handy, and it's one of the items I bring along on every trip. Okay, we've covered most of the gear that I bring along on my adventure motorcycle trips, and you probably will already have noticed we've left out one very important thing: clothes. I think one of the biggest mistakes that new travelers on their motorcycles make is we pack way too many clothes. What I've learned over the years is it's far more important to bring the right clothes than enough clothes. And if you're gonna be traveling, riding every day and camping at night, if you buy clothes like, I love merino wool t-shirts because I can bring 2 of them, and while I'm riding in one day, when I get to camp, I can hang it, and there's antimicrobial properties of those merino wool t-shirts, and they don't stink, and you can wear them 3-4 days. before it really needs to be washed. So if you bring a couple of those shirts, you can do a week-long trip with 2 shirts. Just bringing your primary riding gear and 1 additional set of clothes normally is enough to get you through an entire week. Moto camping isn't about showing everyone how tough you are. It's actually about how well you can rest and then recover and be excited to turn the key the next day. Here's what I know. You're gonna make mistakes, and my camping setup may not be the right setup for you. But what's important is that you don't wait till you get it perfect. You need to get out there and you need to experience something. Pack along what you think you'll need. I hope maybe this video gave you some tips or ideas. But the important thing is that you get out and try, and then you adjust and you make changes, and then you try again, and you have fun, and you recover better, and you sleep better, and you ride more. And that's the goal, isn't it? To get out and have fun on our bikes, experience this amazing country, and have make some memories along the way. So don't wait. Start here. You're gonna learn more from 1 bad night of sleep than 100 gear videos just like this one. So my encouragement to you is get out there and ride, adjust, and do it again.